So when we break it down, it is about tools first. Any guess at what's second? It's pretty basic stuff. Systems, right? Systems second, last. Automation. Yeah. You're cheater. You don't get to play. Ben doesn't get to play. He knows the answers. So automation is third. And really, folks, I mean, that's, everybody talks about that perfect customer life cycle. We're going to show you how to go from 100,000 foot view to 30,000 foot view to boots on the ground. All right, we're going to give you all that these 2 days together. But it's the automation that really makes that all work. All right, and we're going to be showing you that. So tools. I've kind of alluded to this. So when we think of like a master craftsman, Bob, guys that make their own cabinets, master cabinet makers, how many tools do they have on their shelf?
Well, we don't really buy from those guys, so I don't know the answer.
Right.
But a lot.
A lot, yeah. I mean, I know my grandfather's actually a master cabinet maker. Retired, doesn't do it anymore. But I mean, his shop in his basement, and he just makes hobby stuff now, little bowls, little jewelry chest things, picture frames, mirrors, things like that. He has hundreds of tools, hundreds and hundreds of tools. And he knows how to use each and every one. And each and every one, some of them are more universal, and then others are very, very fine detailed that he may only pull off the shelf once or twice a year. But when he does it, he produces this amazing product, this amazing thing. And that's what we want to try to build here today, is this arsenal of tools. Some you're going to use more, and that's your power tools that we're going to teach. Others we're going to show you and how you might take and be inspired and put them into your business. And you use them once a month, once a quarter, but you have them at your disposal. All right? So having that wealth of tools available is very important. And ultimately, you got to understand the job of the tool. You're not going to use 800, call this number to get recorded message. You're not going to use that everywhere, right? You're going to use that really only that we use it for is in this, right? You use this in your Yellow Book ad, an 800 callback number in your Yellow Book ads. It's not going to make sense to put an 800 number on an email or on a website, right, to get a recorded message. But you're going to use that tool, although infrequent, very powerful, in the right media. And we'll cover why and how. But that's one example. You need to understand the job of the tools, where they belong, and what systems they go into. Ultimately, you can grab the tools off the shelf so you get the job done the right way, kind of like I highlighted there. And we have very specific tools for very specific jobs. All right? Naturally, your tools go into your systems. All right? And we'll show you tomorrow, when we break down the system, some systems have 2 tools in, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just depends upon the system as to which system gets which tools. So systems are tools applied in action, all right? Because those tools on the shelf don't mean anything, I mean, how many master cabinet makers out there? Bob said he does high-end kitchen jobs, yet doesn't buy from custom guys. So if we're not applying those tools, those skills, getting them into action, they're just being unused. So systems are what pull them off the shelf, get them to be used, and get them in action all the time. The thing about systems is, so if we find tomorrow, as we get into these, 1 or 2 systems that you really, really like, the nice thing is they actually can stand alone. They're more powerful when they're worked in conjunction with one another. But we can make them stand alone and work. All right? Often tied to one another, but intertwined is where the power of systems really, really, truly comes through. Dependable, no guesswork, right? Last thing you want is to pull these tools off the shelf, apply them into your systems, and then wonder, well, okay, what am I doing here? What's this step? What's next? Well, when you have a properly developed system, there is no guesswork. Just like in our sales scripting and choreography, you're always going to know what to say, when you should say it, what the next step is, You're going to understand that if and then equation, all right? Always know what happens, what's said, what is done, and when. And that's very important, okay? Automation makes all this stuff happen. This is what allows us to, really be in the store 2 days a month each, what allows me to go travel to other conferences where I get to learn new things, I get to impart this kind of knowledge on other people, take vacations, be away from the business and not have it fall apart. That's pretty powerful. I know Mario, you're in your business very, very frequently. John, I know you are. The Downs, you guys have a nice life. You get to live in Florida, but there's still somebody in the business every day, right? So automation is what makes this happen. So it controls your systems and allows you to have your systems running without you in the business. All right, we can automate every single system in every business. This really can be done, and that's what this event's about. Permit seamless connection to each system. All right, so remember I said they can stand alone, but they're more powerful when they're intertwined. They go to that 110% rated power when they're automated together, and they stay at that, high level of performance when they're automated all together. The byproduct is your offers, subsequent offers, when we want to go back to people that have purchased from us, when we want to go back to people that have a prospect that's been in our business but hasn't yet become a customer. The real benefit of automation, when you automate your systems, is that your offers become super relevant and very, very, very hyper-personal. No more dear valued client. Follow-up communications to prospects, right? Does that make sense? To have a dear valued client message or dear guest or whatever other generic greeting. Does that make sense? When we laid out the definitions of lead, prospect, and customer, does that make sense now? Why it's so important to understand who a lead is, who a prospect is, who a customer is. Because when you have this kind of stuff in play, you want to be as relevant as possible. I forget the last number. I think we're up to 5,000-6,000 ad impressions a day that we see as consumers, that your customers see as consumers of your product, your services. So how do you cut through that noise? It's not add more noise. It's just jump to the front of the line. You've been in our business. You've seen X. We've now got offer Y for you about X. And that's how you get very super personal and very hyper-relevant connection through automation. Your execution is accurate. It's close to 100% of the time. But it happens 100% of the time with automation. So some people will say, oh, my staff, they say what I want every single time. Yeah, okay. How do we know? How do we know that's happening? All right? We can automate, we can systematize those customer interactions, we can automate the outcome, and then ultimately take over on the follow-up marketing. Okay? So when we can get as close to 100% accurate and do it 100% of the time, that's when your true benefit of automation and systems and tools really come out to play and benefit you as a business owner or the head of your, when you're in control of your marketing.